Gordon Maguire, another Hobart under the belt. That was a pretty tricky one.
Yes, it was a really tricky one. Hobarts, I guess, are notorious for being these massive battles upwind, or gargantuan winds and waves, and this one was a very different race. For us, it was a lot of transitions and awkward weather patterns that are not normal. When I say not normal, there's nothing that's not normal about weather, it's just weather. But it required a lot of placing the boat in the right place, and even down to the sail choices was really difficult because we were restricted in the number of spinnakers we carry. And so, yeah, we're really pleased, whether we win or lose, because you never know with Hobarts whether you win or a little boat gets in behind you to take it off you. We've beaten the boats immediately in front of us and immediately behind us, and that's really rewarding because they're all really well sailed, and we didn't do too much wrong.
And tell us a bit about those transitions and how you picked them.
We do a lot of research prior to each of the key parts of the race. We break the race down into sections, and the parts of the race that can win and lose the race are then broken down again into all sorts of different things. And there are some transitions that are constantly active, like the first one we went through at Gabo. It was every time we received a weather forecast, every couple of hours, it had changed or moved and created a situation where it was almost a case of we need to be in the largest group of boats and to minimize the loss. And if someone hits a corner or takes a flyer or decides that they know best, it was an interesting transition because it was also governed by a tidal flow that we all wanted to be in after.
This was the countercurrent off Gabo?
Yes, exactly. And so everybody wanted to be in that countercurrent. So it sort of narrowed down the gate, so to speak, for that transition. So that was really cool, which meant that there was a lot of boats all crammed into one little area. Now, a few boats kind of took a little wild stab at getting through in different spots and paid heavily for it. So ironically, the majority ruled in that particular situation, which we were one of. But yeah, it was most unusual. Even off of Tasman Island, we sailed up into Tasman Island in a strong southeasterly, 15, 18 knots of wind, and as we rounded Tasman, nothing, absolutely nothing. That was on the windward side.
Meantime, it was blowing 15 knots at the top of the river here as well.
It's like, how does that happen? How do you get? I'm still confused how you can end up with no wind. A kilometre to windward of an island. It's like, yeah. Anyway.
So you were talking about sails and the restrictions and so forth. I mean, the sails are really key. And on this boat, tell us a bit about what you've been doing in the last year on that front.
Their new structured luffs have really revolutionised for us all the reaching gear that we have. It's been absolutely fantastic. The structured luffs within them allow us to basically build faster sails. And that's the bottom line.
And when you say faster, what in particular makes them faster?
The rule governing sails, for example, like Zeros, is what they call a girth measurement, which technically means they're a spinnaker. But we want to make them into a jib, and therein lies the problem, because the rule is designed so that you can't make them into a jib. The clever people at Doyle's came up with a system of actually, instead of projecting sail area out the back of the sail, it's projected out the front as well. So that wider girth is spread between the front and back of the sail, allows us to build a flatter sail. A flatter zero is a faster zero.
And flatter, presumably because your apparent winds anyway are pretty narrow.
Yes, and the whole concept of having a restricted girth is to keep the sail fat and not overly useful. But we want to design them to go closer and closer to the wind. So yes, big jump forward for us this year.